All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our EBEX webinar today. My name is Jeremy Kingery, and I will be covering utilizing business intelligence tools and techniques for AX project data migration and management. So first, just to start out, let me tell you a little bit about EBEX. We are 280 plus staff worldwide. We have offices around the world in Saudi Arabia, Jordan, 3 offices in the UK. I believe it's up to 4 now, as well as our U.S. operations centered here over in Atlanta, Georgia. We have a long legacy of providing dynamic solutions for customers with over 300 AX installations through the years. We were founded in 1999. And one of the nice things about EBEX is if we don't have coverage in the country where you're actually doing business, let's say you are a US-based company, but you have factories or operations around the world, we have a unique partnership with a company called AXPact that we can actually get people boots on the ground in all around the world, and it really helps us knowing the local rules and regulations as we start bringing you live on AX. Nice thing about EBEX is we are privately owned and managed. It gives us a kind of a unique perspective and situation to be able to go out and make some solid investments into our product line. And we are 100% Microsoft focused. And we are a total Microsoft business solutions. We cover Microsoft CRM, we cover Microsoft ERP systems, business intelligence, Azure and managed services, as well as Office 365. A nice thing about EBEX is we are a gold certified Microsoft partner in business intelligence, ERP systems, as well as CRM. We've been Microsoft Reseller of the Year for the United Kingdom for 5 of the last 6 years, as well as Microsoft Partner of the Year for 2013. So that's pretty special honors we've received there. So enough about us. Let's go ahead and get started here. And the first thing I'll do, I want to talk a little bit about our agenda. The first thing we'll talk about is I'll give you an overview of data management, what it is, why we do it, and why it's important during your migration process to actually effectively manage the data and manage the migration. Then I'll talk a little bit about the components. These are the tools and techniques we'll be using during the data migration. And there's a whole list of components, and I'll kind of qualify them and give you situations where this tool should be chosen over this tool. So it kind of gets you started and pointed in the right direction on how to do that. And finally, we'll discuss a little bit about a newer topic with your AX projects, and that is master data management. And this is a set of tools from Microsoft that are used to manage your master data. And what master data is, think of your customer data or your vendor list data. Those are master data that could be in multiple systems. And what MDM actually allows you to do is manage that in a central location so those systems are consistent and they all subscribe to this MDM hub. And then finally, I'll talk about once you've effectively managed your data migration and built out all your legacy data as well as your new AX data, I'll talk about blending that with other data sources and how Microsoft tools will allow you to go out and really create some powerful mashups with your data. So jumping right in, we'll talk a little bit about our data management overview. What is data management? To start out, let's really come back and say, why data management? And the first answer is, why not? But you've got some questions you've got to manage here. Why migrate historical data? Well, we all know on an AX project, we typically don't migrate our historical transactions into Microsoft Dynamics AX. So that data becomes abandoned out there. So we're going to talk about some techniques to migrate that historical data into a data mart or a data warehouse and start blending that with your future AX transactions to create that seamless long view of your data, which helps improve your trending, helps improve your forecasting capabilities, so you can see those long-term trends that lead to more accurate forecasts. When you do it this way, you reduce the need to actually migrate physical data into AX because you're migrating them elsewhere, and it's going to save you costs during your project. So why migrate live data? Obviously for your live transactions, we always recommend all live transactions migrate into AX, and the reason we do this is because so we can sunset that old system and actually shut it off. So you're not running half of your data in AX and half your data in the old system until you get those old transactions closed. Because for certain business operations, those old transactions could be a year old, so you're still running that old system for the next year side by side AX, and it's just going to be more expensive that way. And then why maintain master data? So managing a set of master data, it really allows our customers to reduce duplication and information throughout the solution. In the end result is going to be it allows you to increase clarity and conformity within your data. We recommend maintaining your master data with master data services with Microsoft, but once again, that is based on the size of your organization and complexity of your data system. So we'll go in a little later on qualifying that and when you would actually want to do that. And finally, why cleanse data? During your data migration, there's no better time than to get a fresh start. We're going to a new system, so let's cleanse that data, let's conform that data and qualify that data and really get rid of the junk and make that data more valuable in the new system. I've found that data value increases exponentially as you start cleansing that data, because without clean data, you really just have a bunch of junk there. So let's talk a little bit about our recommended approach here at EBEX for your data management, for your data migration and data management. And we're going to call this our enterprise information management. So most companies usually have multiple legacy systems. They may have data in custom systems or a CRM system. So you've got a lot of different sources that might be used for building out your AX implementation. So the first step we want to do with that is we want to cleanse, qualify, and conform that data. And what that means is we're going to take that data from those multiple sources and we're going to start pushing that data together. Let's say you have 3 legacy ERP systems in your different branch offices. Well, we want to pull that data from all those systems for this migration. So we've got to start getting that data to a constant level, getting that data clean so we can push that data all together and get a seamless view of it. And our recommendation to when you have these multiple data sources is to build a data mart or a master data store. What this allows us to do, it allows us to get a constant data model there that's then going to be used as a single source for the migration into Microsoft Dynamics AX. And that's where the data migration framework comes in, and you start using your AX migration tools, and you only have to use them ever from one source. And that source would be this data mart or this master data store. The beauty of this system is it really, really supports modern business models. If you're a company that's ever in acquisition mode, you're buying companies and they're on a random, let's say they're on JD Edwards or this company's on SAP or Experian, well, we can come in here and all you have to do to bring the new company online is you have to do this step over here. Cleanse, qualify, and conform your data into the shape of your data mart or your master data store, and then you have a reusable data migration framework here to bring that company online into your AX instance for your company rapidly, very rapidly. So it really, over the long haul, for any company that deals with acquisitions and mergers, this is a huge time and money-saving operation to build it this way. Now, the nice thing about this data mart and this master data store is this builds the foundation. This builds your master data, your dimensional type data for qualifying your transactions. It builds the framework to actually build an enterprise data warehouse. So we're halfway there at this point. We start pulling our historical transaction data over as well. And then we're able to build integrated reports spanning all our source systems. And in the future, as we go live on Microsoft Dynamics AX, we will then start feeding our future transactions and our future master data into that enterprise data warehouse. So one of the great artifacts of using this EIM platform for your migration of Dynamics AX is you end up with the beginnings and framework to build an enterprise data warehouse to get that seamless view of your data over your entire corporate history. So some of the functionality of our data management approach, the nice thing is it's source agnostic. Using standard Microsoft Business Intelligence tools that come with SQL Server, you're going to be able to pull data from any source. You've got a powerful tool set, as I'll show you later, to start cleansing your data and conforming your data. It's going to allow you to manage your legacy data as well as reduce onboarding. Like I was talking about earlier, you're reducing that onboarding time and expense for new companies and operating units. Some of the key benefits, obviously reduced need for migration, reduced implementation effort, and you can sunset those legacy systems. And that one is the biggest one. This is the one I tell everybody, you really want to turn off those legacy systems. I know you have reporting there, but we want to bring that to a new modern system. And that's where that enterprise data warehouse as an artifact comes in place. And all of that leads to cost savings and more cost savings, as well as increased capabilities. You're now bringing that legacy data into a modern enterprise data warehouse data model, which allows you to use modern reporting tools, as I'll show you a little later as well. So as always, things vary by the client type. The size of your company, the complexity of your company are going to kind of dictate how much you want to spend on your migration and how complicated you want your migration and how extensive it really needs to be. So I like to break that down for everybody. So if you're a small to medium enterprise with just a few sources of data, let's say 1 or 2 source systems, your tools to really start doing this would be use your data import export framework that comes with AX. Use your Excel add-in for AX and just get onto AX quickly. Going into an elaborate data migration structure is probably overkill for this kind of organization. The minute you get into a small to medium enterprise that has many sources of data, going the wrong way there. The minute you get into an enterprise that has many sources of data, let's say you have 5 or 6 legacy systems, or let's say you have an active history of mergers and acquisitions, at that point, we're going to recommend a migration data mart. It really is in your best effort and is going to be cost and time savings in the long run. Potentially a master data store as well, depending on how many source systems you have and depending on also on how many systems you will have in the future. Let's say you're going to have AX and you have CRM as well as maybe some other custom systems, home-built systems within your organization for different functions. We may recommend you go with a master data hub to manage that data between the systems and ensure a constant and clear view across them. And also optionally leave you with that enterprise data warehouse. Depending on your reporting and analytics requirements, it's a very valuable tool and more customers are seeing the need for it and it no longer becomes optional. And for a large enterprise, if you have a large Dynamics implementation, complex historical data sources, mergers, acquisitions, I mean, right off the bat, we're going to say, go with the migration data mart, go with your master data store, and not even optionally, go with an enterprise data warehouse. It's just going to pay off and pay dividends in the long run. So that's some of the migration strategies. So now let's talk a little bit about what are the components you use during these migration and where you use them. So the first thing I want to talk about, and this is kind of the big one here, SQL Server. And everybody thinks of SQL Server as a database, but it's actually so much more within SQL Server for managing data migration, managing data storage. So right off the bat, you do have SQL Server. It is your relational database system. On top of that, you also have a tool called SQL Server Integration Services that comes with SQL Server. That is an ETL tool. That's the tool you use to go grab data from your legacy systems, transform and cleanse that data, and then load that data into your data mart or load that data into AX. So SQL Server not only comes with the database, it comes with a powerful ETL tool, as well as additional data management components that we'll use throughout our solution, such as data quality services for cleansing the data and master data management as a component of SQL Server as well. So leading right into that, Master Data Services, it is a SQL Server solution for master data management. And think of Master Data Services as a central hub for managing your company's important reference data, such as your customers, your vendors, your products, anything you'll use in multiple systems. You want to keep and manage that in your hub and then let those systems subscribe to that. So think of it as a wagon wheel with MDS right in the center of your hub and all of the other systems coming in through the spokes of that wagon wheel. And you can have unidirectional spokes for systems that will originate a data, go into Master Data Services, and then head back out. And you'll have single direction spokes for systems that just subscribe to that hub and pull that data out. In a data warehouse, so this is a specialized instance of a SQL Server database. A data warehouse will be built within SQL Server and stored within SQL Server. And more companies are learning they can't live without that data warehouse, especially companies that have multiple systems, multiple computer systems and sources of data that don't speak to each other well within the organization. Data warehouse provides that clear, conformed view of the entire organization as well as the history of the organization as well. Then you have your data import-export framework, and this is the tool that comes with Dynamics AX to actually start migrating data right into AX. It comes with pre-built entity frameworks in there, so it knows how to load, say, your vendor table, or your customer table, or any of those tables. You'll use data import-export framework for that. And then finally, you have your Excel add-in for Microsoft Dynamics AX. So if you have a small system or small tables you need to load, just one-offs you need to do, this Excel add-in is invaluable for that. It's quick and easy to use. And even for some small, tiny tables along the way, even just typing in, if there's like a table with 2 records in it, just sometimes it's easiest to type it in if you're not going to have to reuse that. So let's break this down to types of data migrations you're looking at and what the recommended tool sets might be. For a basic requirement, like I said, if you just need to enter a few lines into AX, just hand key the data. If you don't have to redo it or duplicate that effort elsewhere or later down the road, just type it in. Intermediate requirements, into a single AX table, you can use the Excel add-in. You can also, if it gets a little more complicated, use DIEF, the Data Import-Export Framework as well. And for complex requirements, obviously the Data Import-Export Framework is going to be the go-to tool for getting that data into AX. Then let's talk a little bit now about master data management, what it is and what it does. And I've touched on it a little bit so far, so you might start developing an idea of what it is. But let's talk a little bit about the highlights, what it does. It's going to standardize your data definitions for key business entities across the enterprise. So any data you find important, you're going to manage in your master data hub. Allows the business users to manage data governance. And this is so important. All through my career, everybody's come to IT to fix the data. And the reality is IT may manage that data, but they don't know the data. They're not the owners of the data. So what MDM does, it has an Excel interface to manage the MDM entities, and the end users can go in there when there's data that comes into the hub that doesn't fit the rules for cleansing and conforming. It will build exception lists that the customers can, or the users can then go in and say, here's my exceptions, these things didn't match my process flow, they're not right. And then the customer who actually owns that data can go in and actually fix that within Excel and save it into the master data management hub. So encouraging a company, encouraging the data owners to actually do data governance is just a huge thing for gaining insights and gaining value from your data. And as I mentioned earlier, this is going to create a master data hub. Think of that hub of the wagon wheel with the spokes. Master data is going to be the glue that holds your organizational data together. And it really is the centerpiece of a complete enterprise and information management platform. So if you're a large enterprise or a complicated enterprise as far as data and systems go, master data management is a huge thing. And it's so important these days that AX out of the box comes with multiple entities already implemented in master data services. So right out of the box, I think there's 5 default entities, customer, vendor, and 3 others that automatically are set up for master data management. One bit that I like to point out to everybody who's thinking of master data services, if you're on a standard edition of SQL Server, you're going to pay more for a license. Master data services only comes in SQL Server 2008 Plus, Business Intelligence Edition, or Enterprise Edition. So if you're on that standard license, it's going to be a significant bump up to actually go to master data services. That's why for smaller organizations, we say that is definitely an optional thing to use master data services. And then finally, when it's all done and said, you've got your project, you've got all your data migrated into AX, you now have your enterprise data warehouse and doing forecasting and reporting on everything in there on your organizational data. You can then start looking at pulling in other data. You've got this great EIM, Enterprise Information Management Platform, that you can now use to start pulling in data from other sources, pulling in data from external sources. Let's say you need weather feeds to study trends on product demand, or maybe it's power generation you're forecasting, or let's say you want any sort of feeds for social media. The Microsoft SQL Server Enterprise Information Management Platform allows you to start pulling data from any data source. So once you've now have that conformed view, you can start bringing in data from big data sources, Internet of Things sources, pretty much you name it. As you can see here, here's a list of some of the connectors I have that I can now pull data from, and this is just a small sampling of things. So as you can imagine, if there's data out there, we're going to find a way to get it into your EIM platform and allow you to start leveraging that data. Now I've built a little demo just to show you a few of these BI tools we talked about and how they're used and maybe the simplicity of them as well as some of the power of them. So I'm going to go into that. I'm going to go into that real quick. So let's jump out of our slideshow. So this is a machine here, and we're running Microsoft Dynamics AX on it, as well as I have some legacy system databases in there also. So what I've done, what you're looking at here, this is a program called Microsoft Visual Studio. It comes with SQL Server, and it allows you to build those SQL Server integration services packages I mentioned earlier. It also allows you to build SQL Server reporting services reports, as well as analysis services cubes. So for this example, I'm going to show you what's called a SQL Server integration services package. This is an ETL tool for extracting data from a source system, transforming or cleansing that data, and then loading that data into a destination system. So in this case, what I've done here, I'm going to stage some sales data from my legacy system as well as from my AX system. So I'm going to be pulling data from both systems and creating a small enterprise data warehouse. So the first thing I do is I stage the data, meaning I go and grab the data. I don't do any cleansing to it. I'm just grabbing it and throwing it in a staging table, which then I will start slicing that data up, cleansing it, and loading it into my data warehouse. So the legacy data, as you can see, if I click into it, I've got my source and I've got my destination here. So I go back to my control flow and the AX data. Once again, I have my source and I have my staging destination also. So we're going to go ahead and run this guy. And the first thing it's going to do, it's going to empty those staging tables, and we're going to get a fresh load in this. So if we go into our AX flow, we can see, okay, I loaded 56,568 rows into my staging table from my AX source system. If I go into my legacy system, you'll look, I loaded almost 500,000 rows from my legacy source system into my legacy staging table. So those are loaded now. Now the next step is going to be, what do I do with it? And as you can see, this tool set is a really nice tool set. If you have people who have dealt with SQL Server in your organization, it's not that specialized of a skill. There's a lot of people out there who can develop SSIS packages, way more than the people who can do DIXF packages. This is not an AX specialized skill. This is just SQL Server in general. It is drag and drop onto the from our toolbox onto the canvas, drag and drop these entities over there, and you're done with it. Sorry, this is the first time this user's ran it on this box, so a little setup going on there. All right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to go take a look at our database and see in our new staging database, take a look at that data. So I just called this our demo database. I've got my stage AX sales data and my stage legacy data. Those are the two tables we just loaded. So if I just want to browse a little bit of that data, let's say here's my AX sales data. I've got some customer information on there as well. as well as location. And I have the same thing in my legacy data as well. Sales data, dates, customer, locations. So we've got the data there now. It's still not that useful. They're still in separate tables. There's not that clear conformed view that gives me that seamless transition over time of my legacy data as well as my ongoing AX data once data is migrated. So what I've done now, I've built what we call a data warehouse, a small data warehouse on here. So I'm going to bring up a diagram of that data warehouse just to show you guys what that looks like. And this is what we call a star schema. So I'm going to get a little technical on you here, but basically what a star schema means is we have our fact table in the middle. So think of the fact table as, this is my table full of my transactions. It's things I measure, whether it be a sales amount or a sales quantity or a unit price. Those are all facts to me. And around that is my master data or my dimensions. So in this case, I have a dim geography as well as a dim customer that is related to my measures. These are the ways I will slice and dice those facts. These are the ways I will qualify those facts. I can qualify it in this model by customer, or I can qualify it by location as well. So now my objective is I want to get those two disparate tables into this single fact table as well as load up this customer and geography table. So what I've done for that one is I've built another SSIS package. And bear with me a second here, I'm having technical difficulties. Okay, sorry, I don't know what happened there. I'm having a few technical difficulties on my server. So I've built this package to load my enterprise data warehouse now. So as you can see, I have a script at the beginning of my package that does a cleanup. Then I load my customer table, I load my geography table, and then I load my fact sales table. So we're going to go ahead and run this, and then I'm going to go into each of those loads and show you a little bit of what's happening there and some of the power of this. We're going to run staging again. So it runs our cleanup job. It runs everything through. So as you can see, it's running there. So we're going to go into this data flow here and kind of see a little bit about what's going on in here. And I've got it jammed up a little bit so everything fits on the screen. So what we have is we have our legacy customer source table and our legacy, our AX customer source table. And what I'm doing, I'm unioning those two together. And then I run a transformation. And you remember this is an ETL tool, so we're extracting legacy data, extracting AX data. Union is part of our transformation. We then remove duplicates. We then do some derived columns, making new columns in there and stuff like that, and then load it into our destination dim customer table. All easy to do. If we go back to our control flow and go to our geography, once again, we're doing the same thing there, loading our legacy, loading our AX, unioning that, removing duplicates, and these are just tools we drag on here. This is drag and drop for these boxes doing this, so it's a very visual design interface using this. And then finally, we load our fact table, and once again, legacy, AX data, unioning that together. Don't remove duplicates in this case because there won't be duplicate transactions between the system. And finally, load that fact sales table. And the end result is going to be that seamless view we're looking for that has all my historical data as well as my ongoing, current valid data. Gives me that seamless long-term look that's going to help me do more accurate forecasting and just know year over year how my sales are growing. If I want to compare this year to last year and I was on a different system last year, I can't do that if I don't have this seamless view of that data. So let's go ahead and hop out of here. that really is it. We've now built this data warehouse, we've loaded it up, and I'm going to show you some reports that I quickly was able to build using Microsoft's Power BI to kind of give you that. So I built a report off the legacy sales data, and as you can see, it just drops off at the end of 2013 when I did my AX migration. This is sales by day over a long term. So it's a nice report, but it's old and it's dated, and I don't know what's been happening since the end of 2013. So I then go to my AX system, and I now have 2014, 2015, but they're not tied together. I don't get that seamless view. So I've done my migration. I just migrated my data over, my master data over. I didn't build any enterprise data warehouse, and this is the best I'm going to get reporting wise. And that's where that enterprise data warehouse comes in to give you that seamless view over time. So now I have data from when my company started in 2005 all the way to current. As well as using these modern reporting tools, I now can plot my sales out by a chart. Here's my customer, sales by customer. If I want to drill down a little bit on this, give me United States sales. I can drill down on that, go down to the city, all with that simple data model with just 2 dimensions, customer and geography. I've been able to start leveraging this sales data and just really start cranking these reports out. Now imagine how much powerful this would be with 10 dimensions, your entire master data on there. Bring in my vendors as well, bring in my product suites as well, so now I know customers, what products they purchased, and so on and so forth. So utilizing just a little bit of forethought on my migration, I've now got this huge valuable resource out of it. So that's the demo. At this point, I'll just open the floor if anybody has any questions. Go ahead and type them in, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Okay, while you're typing, I'll just go on to the next slide here. Next steps. What do you want to achieve? You can have us do a BI assessment, see where you're at on that. Here's the URL for that. As well as check out a new product we have, and this is our EBEX Power BI Accelerator for Microsoft Dynamics AX 2012. And we're pretty excited about this product because, number one, we made it ourselves, which is pretty neat. But in addition to that, it's a great product to get your AX data into Power BI rapidly. And it comes with a set of 10 pre-built data models, dashboards, and reports, all there for you to use. So it's a great tool. If you've heard about Microsoft Power BI, this is how you get AX into Power BI. As well as check out our upcoming and on-demand webinars. We've got our events on our website. Always a good time. We're going to start doing on-demand as well, so there's going to be a video library you guys can choose from, as well as the live ones coming up, and we try to keep our current content fresh and always stuff that you guys can learn from. Still no questions, so I'm just going to thank everybody for coming out. It's been great. And until next time, check out our website and start coming to our webinars.